Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for coming to the Spring Summit. We're here today to speak to you about how to increase your fan engagement and how you can monetize that technical advancement or technology that's required to do so. So, Quince is a unique creative collaborative. We are a unique combination of both technology, engineering folks, and creative minds. 50 employees located right outside of Washington, D.C., right by Dulles Airport. We have an innovative tech center here that has a full mock up studio where we create full scale versions of a variety of sports activations across all spectrums of sports. We work everything from esports to live event sports. Um, and we're entering our 25th year of being in business. We've been heavy in the sports industry for the past 12 years, and and we have a history of being involved with sports arenas for 4 decades. So our core competencies, talking a little bit about how we achieve these very visceral effects that you've seen that we're famous for. We have a foot in the event production world, and that means we provide these kind of services for live event productions across the globe. Everything from sports arena projections to corporate large galas. We're into augmented reality and all the technology that's required to create those visceral effects. We have virtual audience intellectual property that we provide, that we support today. We have a broadcast video production acumen here. Everything that we build is built on a broadcast production technology requirement. So everything must work, everything must be robust, and that's the field that our engineering team came from. We have a heavy hand in systems integration. We integrate across many vertical marketplaces. One big one, of course, is sports. We're also actively engaged with the themed entertainment arena and in commercial and public spaces. And lastly, but not least, projection mapping. We've been doing projection mapping, engineering projection mapping for almost 40 years in a variety of forms, everything from the 96 Olympic closing ceremonies to planning a large activation at Mount Rushmore in North America, to the sides of buildings, and of course, to sports courts and arenas. So this next slide I'd like to show because it really demonstrates a cross section of where we are in primarily the sports world. You can see across many different verticals, from football to baseball. Although we started with indoor basketball and hockey, we have morphed into providing these services for larger outdoor venues that do not have a roof structure. So we get called all the time about designing soccer pitches and designing cricket yards. Is it possible to bring this kind of imaging technology to those type of venues? And the answer is yes, it is, absolutely. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Eric Gazzillo. Eric is our Vice President of Innovation, and he heads up our team in the sports world. Eric, it's all you.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the details. Scott gave a great high level on sort of who we are, what Quince's capabilities are. But I'm going to talk a little bit more nuts and bolts about how we achieve these effects and how they can really be used and grow the in-venue experience, right? So, first and foremost, talking to some visuals real quick. Quince is known primarily for our work in the court and rink projection space, right? We have a number of capabilities, but the one thing that we have been working on for over a decade has been trying to activate the playing surfaces of as many in sports venues, stadiums, arenas, rinks, courts as we can, right? The reason we do that is, as Scott's been saying his whole career, right? You have every seat in that stadium or arena is looking right at that playing surface, right? No matter how big your LED is, no matter how many ribbons you have, if you're not activating that with visuals, right, you have a missed opportunity. You have capabilities in these sports projection applications that you don't have in other avenues, other LED solutions, display solutions, concourse solutions. you have these unique theatrical moments where you can actually dim the lights, top of game, halftime shows, special events, and really create a full venue-wide experience that you can't do in any other way. So with that, give you a sense, if you haven't seen a video to try to get a video to show kind of what I'm talking about here, let's take a quick look at what we did for the Seattle Kraken in that video. So that's just one great example, right? When you have a really innovative team like the Vegas Golden Knights, right? They're able to create, like I said, these theatrical moments. And this is something that can be used permanently in an arena or in a stadium or for a singular activation, depending on the needs. But I think the one thing is it becomes more prevalent, whether it's NBA or especially the NHL right now. This is something that audiences are going to come to expect, right? Everyone's looking at how to drive that in-venue experience, driving ticket revenue and attracting sponsors, right? When you have these theatrical moments, that's the thing that attracts the most focused eyeballs. There's plenty of places to, put advertisements and things like that. But when it comes to actually, monetizing this technology, having these theatrical moments, having this focus, in addition to some of the, great supporting displays around these venues. That being said, I'm going to talk a little bit about how, expectations have just continued to rise, right? Bigger LED, bigger ribbon displays. And conversely, as these displays and these theatrical lighting systems are growing over the years, making sure you've got the biggest, the sharpest, the brightest systems out there, right? So talking a little bit about UBS Arena, right? Brand new building, brand new technology, same thing. Quince, being part of that and being very fortunate to help them install the brightest projection system in the NHL, right? Because it's not just about, content and design, but making sure that you have display experts and subject matter experts to make sure that this is bright, this is sharp, this is just as crisp as you're going to see anywhere else in that venue, right? Same thing, activating this for a number of stadiums and arenas, not just single teams, but, multi-sport venues, talk about Washington, D.C. supporting both the Wizards and the Capitals with a single system, talking about increasing that ROI by making sure you have one system for two teams, right? Just like everything else in the building, while you have two different playing surfaces, if you have this technology installed right, it's something that can be used across multiple sports. And across multiple leagues, right? Going through the NBA a little bit, and it's not all about the NHL. They've got one of the most prime surfaces for activation, right? But we work with a number of sports and leagues, right? Originally that big kickoff activation in 2014 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Same thing, going through working before the venue move, working with the Golden State Warriors. Not just them, but also their external partners and agencies. Had a great longtime sponsorship with PlayStation, right? And same thing, talking about the theatricality of it all. Bringing in for a special event, right? They wanted to have a great launch event for God of War. They had this long-term, partnership with PlayStation. And that's the question is, how can we bring something bigger? Before they moved, that arena had smaller, older LED technology. How can we bring something in for that event? Right, it's a single phone call. Right, this technology has been around been around and is easily deployable. It's all about finding the right moments, the right content, the right opportunity to bring that in, right? Whether it's in-season branding or those external events. Speaking a little bit more to external events and the ROI side of things, right? So you have fan engagement, right? Always is going to drive ticket revenue. You have ability to track new sponsors, but also, right, as these new arenas, stadiums open, all this technology is helping drive actual venue rentals, right? There's always going to be concert tours and local events, right? But some of these bigger, esports international events, they're looking to the most cutting edge venues to host their events, right? So when you look at, say, an esports tournament, right, they want to project their dragons, their big activations on that floor surface around their stage. It's not something they're going to have to bring in. It's going to be something they expect to be included as part of that venue rental package, right? So having that cutting edge stuff, having that project technology is key there. Talking about a little bit about interactivity. So you have the ability to create these unique moments, not just via devising these theatrical moments, but also creating abilities for fans to be part of these games, right? So talking about things like period breaks where you have not just a passive experience, but an interactive game. And, we've all seen sort of interactive games and things that are played, kiss cams, things that are on the LED center hungs, but expanding across that, right? You have an entire rink surface. There's no reason why you can't have fans out on that rink playing a physical game, right? So in this instance, right, you have the Capitals, this great sponsorship by Dunkin' Donuts, and the ability to have them come out, run around this full branded interactive game, and you have virtual donuts following them around, collecting virtual coffee cups as the virtual donut chomper, comes after them. And right, is really these unique activations, these things that stand out, attract these longer term sponsorships, right? This is a activation that they've been running for a number of years now, right? And I think that's what a lot of folks are looking for, is not just here's an ad on digital signage, right? Here's something that's going to create a long-term opportunity that also fans are going to look forward to game after game. I want to make sure I touch on some of the other leagues, right? Obviously NHL, NBA, but this technology, as Scott said, goes outside to these exterior sports as well, right? A lot of the folks are trying to bring roofs over as many stadiums as possible, but even if you're out in the open, right? We've done a number of activations for Major League Baseball, for the NFL on fields, turf. Right, opening US Bank Stadium, right, all these big single activations. This technology is just as applicable to create these unique moments. That being said, so I want to make a little bit of a transition here before I run out of time. So the one thing we've really focused on all this time has been trying to create the largest, most immersive, compelling displays, and these already physically massive spaces, right? I have no qualms with that saying, right? These stadiums and arenas are getting bigger and bigger every year. And conversely, right, the LED displays are getting bigger every year, which, while projection is always going to be the largest opportunity for some of these visuals, you have to compete with larger and automated center hungs with these ribbon boards. And that's the thing, is making sure that when you're doing that, you have the ability to really fill that up with compelling content. So the joke I always make here is, when that happens, you have a full rink of projection. How do you go bigger than that? People always ask me, what's next? How do you go bigger? Right. And the natural extension of that is really through augmented reality. You have great supporting displays synced with these projection effects. How do you create these eye-popping 3D effects that pop out of that surface, right? There's a lot of things you can do in design, but augmented reality is really where you can actually expand and go beyond that. So, talking about a number of these events, right, bringing mascots to life, going up beyond the traditional, live stats and stats graphics you see on ESPN, NFL game day, things like that. But bringing this technology off of broadcast and into the stadium where fans really want to see it, right? There's always that competition, right? How do we get fans off of their couch and in that venue? And that's the thing, is all of this technology has to be, not only meet, but exceed what folks are seeing in their living rooms, right? And augmented reality is a big part of that. So whether it's bring alive mascots, the Baltimore Ravens, Carolina Panthers activations you may have seen online. Or, creating interactive games, just like we were talking about with the Dunkin' Donuts activation at Capital One. So just to give an example, I've got a quick video here of what the Houston Texans have done.
That is one impressive track. Get set, go! Now the black will sneak into the lead. The red card making its move through the fire ring. And the winner is the white car wins. Upper level.
Awesome. So that's just a really good example, just like the Dunkin' Donuts video is, right? You have this, once you have this rendering technology, this tracking technology in the venue, obviously you can do great stuff, bring the mascot to come alive, right? But same thing, create these unique moments. The technology is already there. Expand that to the sponsored activations, right? You have Kroger come in and sponsor interactive games, things that pop off of the in-venue LED, off of the display, and obviously, the goal here, right, is not just to expand the in-venue experience, but create that hype, right? All this stuff has great post-event traction online on social platforms, right? Bringing something that folks say, how did that work? How do I see that, right? That thing is going to have folks questioning and engaging in conversations is going to ultimately drive them back to the venue itself. Obviously, this is a big part of filling up these huge LED displays, whether it's custom resolutions, custom aspect ratios, right? There's a lot of creative framing you can do with these to make this fill these unique displays, especially that the NFL has in their venues. That being said, talking a little bit about a little bit of wrap up here is how this all comes to play and how we get there, right? It's about, for me, building the foundation. Every venue is going to have built-in, existing technology. So whether you're building a new venue and planning for a new venue or upgrading a venue, it's, first building the technical foundation. If you don't have some of these tools, you can't start to build the content, the designs, and the engagement around it, right? So getting the tools first. Then that being said, trying to create these theatrical moments. So, you have the tools, getting that engagement by creating unique immersive moments that go beyond the rink, beyond the LED, and expand that experience, right? And that being said, making sure that all of this is, more two-dimensional content, whether it's interactive, whether it is, part of a bumper, an intro and outro to a game, the things that are going to stand out to sponsors where you have more focus, more attention from that audience, right? And with that, Scott, I want to kick it back off to you and the team, right, to just wrap up and talk about, some of the overarching themes here.
Sure. Thanks, Eric. And for the moment we have left, just want to reinforce a couple of things. We are technology innovators, and we really bring our technology and combine them with your ideas. So the way we work is highly collaboratively. And there are a variety of ways to get this foundation into your facility, especially now as the technology continues to evolve. And that's all I had. I wanted to thank everybody for coming and for attending. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out. I believe Sports Forum will provide a link. There's a link. Thank you to how to get in touch with us. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all about this technology and how it can be brought into your sports environment. Thank you for attending. Appreciate your time.